My name is Cathy. I'm a compulsive overeater. My abstinence date is May 22nd, 1981, and I weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the gray sheet without exception. And I don't eat in between those meals, and I don't eat no matter what. And abstinence is the most important thing in my life. And so grateful to be abstinent today. And I'm coming upon my anniversary again, which is always thrilling to me. It's the most important day in my year, May 22nd. And there's a person in Gray Sheet who's a friend of mine whose birthday is on May 22nd. So we always touch base on that day. It's a miracle that I'm abstinent. It's a miracle that I'm sitting here, 5'3", 100 and whatever, 110 pounds, something like that, 61 years old, in pretty good health, in really pretty good health. But that isn't why I came in here. I didn't come in here to get pretty good health. I came in because I was totally desperate with food. And I just want to say that something really interesting happened. It's been a while since this happened, but about 45 minutes ago, I got a phone call from someone in Lexington, Mass. And I thought, oh, that must be so-and-so. So I picked it up, and it wasn't so-and-so. It was someone who got abstinent or was in the Cambridge community back 35 years ago. And she got my name from the phone bridge. And she remembered me. I didn't remember her very well, although I did sort of remember. And she called, and she's trying to get abstinent. And that was really, really a big gift for me to get that call. She was at that point, which I really, really recognized, that point of, well, I'm kind of looking around, because I know that you guys have what I want, and I've tried everything else, but I don't know if I'm willing to do what, I don't really know if I want to give you my food right now. I don't know if I want to give you my next meal. So she ended up doing that. Anyway, it was just really, really good for me. It brought back memories of Cambridge and starting to get abstinent, and also brought back memories of, which I need to remember every single day, about what it was like before I got abstinent Gray Sheet. So I'm really grateful for that call, and I really believe my higher power just takes care of me. It's so important for me to be active in the program and to be in touch with people and to have a network of people. So I have a history of eating from my memories when it became it became a problem for me about 11 or 12 years old, which is about the time that I, was going outside of my house into other people's houses and babysitting. Nobody ever taught me how to do the rituals that I did. The eating rituals, and all really alcoholic eating, and nobody taught me about climbing on people's cupboards and finding the stuff that I hope that, I figured maybe they wouldn't notice that I'd taken, but then eventually just eating stuff in the refrigerator that they told me I couldn't eat. All of those rituals that I repeated over and over and over again, over the next 10 years or so before I got abstinent. It got worse. It never got better, but it really didn't get different. It really just was always the same sort of cycle, that it would start out with, I hate myself, I'm fat, I can't possibly eat anymore, I just binged yesterday, and then very soon saying, well, I'm just going to have one more, and that will make me feel better, and then I won't need to. Then that'll be it. I'm going to get it out of my system. So I didn't know that I was an addict with food, and there's no getting it out of your system when you're an addict. Maybe when you're just a problem eater, but as an addict, I couldn't get it out of my system because I was addicted to sugars, grains, starches, and carbohydrates, which is the things I was eating, but I was also addicted to the whole thing of eating. So that's why a program that, if there was a program, which I never tried, but if there was a program that said, okay, no sugars, grains, starches, or carbohydrates, but do whatever you want with your food. Otherwise, I'd still be out there crazy and nuts, and I'd eventually be back into the foods that I'm addicted to. I'm addicted to food. I binged on those sugary carbohydrate things to an extreme. But if there was nothing available and I was in the middle of a binge, I would binge on frozen protein. I would binge on old, stuff that people had left in the trash. Again, nobody ever taught me how to do these things. I felt a whole lot of shame about it, and I never talked about it. I thought, I didn't know I was abnormal, but I figured I was just a bad person. Why can't I diet? Why can't I control my food? I'm a bad person. And I already had that ism in me anyway, that felt that I wasn't good enough. You know, I had that since I was born, I think. So fearful of other people, I wasn't good enough, blah, blah, blah. And so it just, the compulsively overeating just absolutely fed that and fed that and fed that. You know, that just the self-hatred, and I don't remember where I was going with this thought, but anyway, just, you know, the whole ritual of eating, the whole inescapable powerlessness. And that I thought it was my fault. That's what I was saying. So there was Weight Watchers at 15, lost 25 pounds. And I thought, this is great. I'm all set. And I was able to use Weight Watchers for a couple of years to control my eating. Then I went to college, and drinking entered the picture, which for me was really just a way to feel comfortable with people. Although I didn't really know how to control my drinking. And then when I drank, I mean, I'd much rather eat than drink, but when I drank, I really drank too much, and I got sick almost all the time. I didn't know how to do anything like that moderately. So that's when things took off for me. I was about 17 or 18, and you know, I guess it's different for everybody, but for me, it just like sprang forward. It jumped forward. My disease, I was in this atmosphere. I wasn't at home where things were controlled, where, I was in this, you know, environment where there was a lot of food everywhere, and there was a lot of food that was not mine, but that was available to me if I went and looked for it, and if I was willing to steal it, which I was. And I was willing to do a lot of sneaky things that I would never have done in any other area of my life, but I could not help the things that I did in order to get food. So I got fat again. So the first time it was 25 pounds, and the second time probably it was more like about 60 pounds that I needed to lose. And so back to Weight Watchers, lost all that weight. And then again, that feeling of, oh, wow, I've got control over this. This is just the greatest, you know, size 4 pants. I never, ever, ever will let myself ever get fat again. So in about 3 months, I was back in the food. It was just that one piece of the Thanksgiving dessert, the little piece. And I was just going to have that piece, but then it's like it sucked me in. So I was then like in the corner of my parents' kitchen trying to hide what I was doing and like eating the whole thing. So then I heard about OA. So I was going to school south of Boston, and I heard about OA, and I started going to those meetings, and everybody was very nice. And I even met some people there who were doing Grey Sheet. And in fact, 2 of them are still abstinent now, 40 plus years later. And anyway, for me, it didn't work because I can't get abstinent by doing the steps. I can't get abstinent by being nice to myself or by other people being nice to me, or by having a support group. I have to get abstinent by getting sober with the food, and that's the only way that it works for me. But I didn't know that, so I was trying all these different food plans and different sponsors, and it didn't matter if I was abstinent or they were abstinent. It was just very disorganized and chaotic. And but anyway, that's how I got into Cambridge, because at the time, this is so 1980, 1981. Thank you. I've got 5 minutes. Thank you. Grey Sheet was OA Grey Sheet. So they were OA meetings, and they were part of, so they were on this meeting list. So you'd have this, you know, this list, and you'd go around to the different meetings. And so there was this meeting, and I had no idea that it was Grey Sheet or anything. I just went to it because my regular meeting wasn't available. And so that was the beginning for me. I didn't get abstinent right away. I spent about 3 months trying to get abstinent, but not doing everything that I was told, just doing maybe about like 90% of it. So I thought that I would somehow get abstinent by osmosis. Like if the desire to eat would be removed by my higher power, and I'd be standing there, at the convenience store in front of the sugars, grains, starches, and carbohydrates, and I wouldn't want to eat it. That's what I thought was going to happen. And that's not what happened. So I just kept on repeating the same thing, and I would try to get abstinent on the gray sheet, and I would go into physical and emotional withdrawal. And then I would think, these people just don't know how much I want to eat. I just don't eat no matter what stuff. They don't know. They just don't. I'm worse than them. And I would just head back into the food. But at least I kept going to meetings, and I feel so very blessed and so very grateful that I did go into that meeting, and that I did realize that I was in a meeting that was different than anything I'd ever been to before, that it was a 12-step meeting, but otherwise the message was completely different from what I'd gotten in OA meetings. So everybody talked about you don't eat no matter what, and you weigh and measure 3 meals off the gray sheet. And it was all about how I got through that day. Everybody got through that day abstinent. And so I went every day. And eventually I just got up after a binge in the middle of the night on food that wasn't even my favorite food. And I dragged myself to a gray sheet meeting, and that was my first day of abstinence. And so that's what happened in about 11 minutes before I got abstinent. But it's really important for me to tell that. And I really think that for me, when I was having trouble, it was really important for me to hear stories of people who hadn't maybe gotten abstinent the minute they walked in the door. And also, it's always important for me to hear people talk about not just how they're doing now abstinent, but what their life was like before they got abstinent, because I want to hear that over and over and over again. I'm an addict. I'm never going to remember. I always have to keep coming to meetings and hearings. So I was 22, and now I'm 61, and I continue to work this program a day at a time. I have a sponsor. I sponsor people. I do. Now that I'm involved with the phone bridge, I do a lot of service on the phone bridge, because I don't live in the Boston area anymore. About 14 years ago, due to my husband's job, we've been moving around since then. So I've used the phone bridge a lot, and I'm very, very, very grateful for it. And I do, as much service as I can on that. And then, whatever I can to keep, whatever I'm told to do, I should say, to stay abstinent, that's what I do. I'm working on the steps now in a really, really good way that's really helping me a lot. Done the steps many times before, but this time it's really, really, really helping me tremendously. And I'm so grateful for that, because, I really love my food, and I've had a successful day if I've weighed and measured my 3 meals off the gray sheet. So boom, that's it. I've had a successful day, no matter what the heck else happened. I could have really been a pretty rotten person maybe that day, or I had I don't know what. But I was told I don't eat no matter what, so it doesn't really matter what happens. But I really want to feel more comfortable in my life. I want to have better relationships. I want to have a connection with my higher power. I want to be progressing. I want to feel that my life is meaningful, and that I feel that, I don't know how to put it into words, that I'm just feel better about myself. And that's a long process. I don't know if I'll ever get to the day I die. I hope I'm better off than I am now, but I just, I have a long way to go with what's going on in here. But I know that it's progress, not perfection, and there's always hope as long as I stay abstinent. So I really, really love my food. I was sick about a year ago with a stomach problem, and I ended up losing about 10 pounds. And I'm about 7 or 8 pounds underweight right now, and it's not good. So my sponsor added food. First time I've had food added since I had my last child, which was 1995, when I was pregnant, and then when I was nursing. And so it's really a treat, and I'm really grateful for that. And it's all within abstinence. She said, I want you to add this and add this. And I said, okay. And it's been really wonderful. And, we can enjoy our beautiful, beautiful food that's abstinent. I don't have to worry about craving. I eat my meals. I really look forward to them, but I live a lot in between my meals. I do a lot of stuff of different kinds. My husband and I are empty nesters now, but, I'm involved with my kids and people in my neighborhood and my church and Gray Sheet and everything. And there's a lot to do. And, I just love my meals. I say, oh, an hour to lunch. That's really good. And then I go on, thank you, I'm done. And so I love my meals. They begin and they end. And I say, thank you, God. And I get up and do the dishes and then go on with the next thing. So I'm really, really grateful. Thank you so much for the chance to share. Peggy, thank you so much for asking me to speak.